Some of the major works of Joseph Conrad are, I've mentioned Almayer's Folly, a story of an eastern river, which was published in 1895, and this is his first novel. Then came The Nigger of the Narcissus, A Tale of the Sea in 1897. In 1900 was published Lord Jim, A Tale. And in 1902 was published a collection of stories called Youth, a Narrative, and two other stories. And in this volume we can find, apart from Youth, Heart of Darkness and The End of the Tether. In 1904, Nostromo, A Tale of the Seaboard was published. In 1907, The Secret Agent, A Simple Tale was published. And Under Western Eyes was published in 1911. And lastly, there were some other works in between. And in 1917 was published The Shadow Line, A Confession. So this, in short, is the literary output of Joseph Conrad. And in spite of not being an Englishman, it is, or a native speaker of English, it is really surprising how he became proficient in writing novels in the English language. And obviously how he was in fact regarded as one of the greatest novelists in the early part of the 20th century, greatest English novelists. Now, in order to read Heart of Darkness, it is necessary for us to just get a background knowledge about what the situation was during Conrad's time in Africa and in the colonial situation. What was it like? Now, the 19th century was notable for European imperialism. Belgium joined late in this scramble for loot, as it was called. And the Belgian king, King Leopold, was a person who was noted for his imperialism. Until the middle of the 19th century, equatorial Africa was unknown to the Europeans, and there were no maps. And this is what Conrad meant when he called the area, quote, a blank space of delightful mystery, unquote. But soon, a number of missionaries, explorers, and scientists started to unravel the mystery, and they were soon followed by rapacious businessmen and commercial houses who began exploiting the resources, material and human. Both private and governmental agents were involved in these exploits, and the industrial Europe had begun seeking markets and raw material for their finished products. And as we know that we know about David Livingstone, who was a Scot medical missionary, and Her Majesty's Consul for Inner and Unexplored Africa. He went to East and Central Africa in 1866 at the request of the Royal Geographical Society. And later he was found by a person called Stanley. Livingstone was thought to have been lost, but of course he was there. But King Leopold's interest in Congo came after the expedition of Stanley, and soon his men met the explorer to join the king's civilizing mission in Africa. And we have the account of Stanley regarding this expedition. From the years 1885 to 1908, the Congo Free State was cruelly exploited until the exploitation crossed all civilized limits, and which aroused international anger against Leopold's tactics. However, King Leopold received support from international finance agencies, and the profits that he got were enormous, and these mostly came from the trade of ivory. And in one of these organizations, CONRAD had found employment, and he had gone to the Congo. So Africa came to figure not only in the geographical map of the Europeans, but also in their mental landscapes. So Africa was now available to them, and the Europeans looked upon Africa in this way, and it was a case of both discovery and invention. And of course there was an ulterior motive which we would be looking at later on.